Most sellers are drowning in Amazon softwares, and understandably so. There are so many tools out there to run an Amazon business, but I'm just going to distill down what I use to run my 8-figure Amazon wholesale business and show you what's really important in terms of software. My name is Dan, aka 1000 ASINs, and over the past 7 years, I've sold over $70 million online. And along the way, I've tried almost every software tool that there is out there. So I definitely speak from a place of experience. These are the exact softwares that I recommend to my over 300 students in my wholesale program and what makes me succeed every day in my own business. So one of the questions I get asked most often on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube is what softwares I use. So I just thought I would do an entire video breaking down my entire tech stack in detail. And along those same lines, if you guys want to see me talk about a specific topic, don't hesitate to ask. I'm happy to do a video on literally anything. I'm a pretty open book when it comes to my Amazon business. Without further ado, we'll hop into my exact software stack. Smart Scout, let's jump in here. So Smart Scout, I primarily use to find brands to contact. So what Smart Scout does is it will break down the entire Amazon catalog by brand. And you can filter those brands by a lot of different things, like revenue, how many Amazon sellers are on there, whether Amazon themselves is retailing the product, whether the brand is growing online or perhaps contracting online, how many products they have, and so on and so forth. So what I'll do is go into these filters, and then I will pick a category I want to explore. So let's say arts, crafts, and sewing today. It'll filter the brands just in that category, and then maybe I don't want any mega brands, I want smaller brands to contact, so maybe I'll cap the revenue at 100,000, and then I'm looking for maybe 5 minimum FBA sellers, which indicates the brand is, wholesale friendly. So then it will pull up a list of brands. I see there's 104 potential brands to contact here that would possibly partner with me. So that kind of fast tracks finding good brands to contact that will work with a newer wholesale seller. Applicable to beginners, intermediate, or advanced sellers. Anyone looking for brands to contact, this tool is invaluable. And then they also, within every brand, they'll give you a run through of what products they sell, revenue by product, what their best sellers are, and then also maybe who the sellers are, what percentage of that brand they sell, whether there's anyone super dominant or not. So really gives you a wealth of data to fast track your way into contacting the right brands that will actually work with you. And then once you do open an account and they send you a list of, a bunch of products, what you can do is use the UPC scanner and just upload the whole catalog, and it will cross-check all those UPCs with Amazon listings and kind of spit out the products that are on Amazon and profitable based on the price list. So Smart Scout is great for that. I'd say it's worth the cost pretty much immediately because it'll save you so much time. There are other methods to find brands out there, like stalking other wholesale storefronts or going to trade shows, but those do involve more time per brand to find qualified leads for brands. So I'd say there's definitely big time savings, and there are a lot more features of Smart Scout that I don't really have time to cover in this video, but you can do a lot of pretty advanced stuff with Smart Scout, and the price is quite reasonable for what they give you. And by the way, on that note, I have my own affiliate links with discounts to most, if not all, of the softwares I'm going to go through today. So if any of you guys want to check out any of those and explore it, most of them have discounts, free trials, etc. Links to those will be below this video. Moving on to the next software I use a lot, it's called Restock Pro. And this keeps me stocked of products that I can buy month in, month out. So one great thing about wholesale is that you can replenish the same products again and again rather than relying on lead lists or new sales to keep sourcing products. So Restock Pro will basically group it by supplier, group it by ASIN, and then tell me how many units I've sold in the past 30 days, 7 days, 2 days, and tell me how much I need to buy to stay in stock. So here's an example. It's kind of small here, but you can look at total orders in the last 2, 7, and 30 days. So this particular product, I sold 10 in the last 2 days, 27 the last month. I have 194 in stock right now, so I don't really need any more. And then it will basically suggest how many I need to reorder and when, and then it'll also show the profitability of those items. So sometimes items become very profitable and it'll show that. Sometimes they go into the negative even, and even if you're selling it, you might not want to restock. So it shows you profitability, it shows you velocity, based on different date ranges, and this really helps me stay really organized and order the right products at the right time to stay in stock. So this would apply to wholesale, arbitrage, or private label because it's kind of the same concept. In deciding, how much to restock, how much to buy, it depends on your prior velocity and profitability. So this software could be used for any business model. Moving on, I have Finale Inventory. So this is actually kind of the hub of all my softwares. It's probably the most important one because this keeps track of all of my inventory, where it is, how much that inventory is worth. And I think this is probably more for medium to large sellers. I think a brand new seller, you can use a bit more of a lightweight tool like an inventory lab or even spreadsheets to keep track of your inventory. But as you grow to multiple sales channels, lots of SKUs, a warehouse with pallet racking and shelves and stuff like that, a proper inventory software would be required. So we'll just dive into that really quickly. So for instance, I can look at my warehouse and I can filter by stuff that I have on hand, and then I can filter by from greatest to least. So here items I have one of, various SKU names, and you can click into any of these and it'll say where it is and how many I have. So for instance, this product, this soil concentrate, it's in WR-C-3 in my warehouse, and then I know what I paid for. So it also logs all the purchases I've ever done, and it keeps track of the cost per SKU. And a lot of this feeds into my other softwares, and it also feeds into my accounting system. So this is kind of the hub, and it does communicate with a few other softwares. So back to this, I have a few arrows here. So my on-hand quantities feed to Restock Pro. So I'm not buying things that I already have in my warehouse. And it also keeps track of my costs, so I know what the exact profitability of what I'm buying would be in Restock Pro. It's also feeding into the next two softwares we're going to talk about, SellerSnap and 2D Workflow. There are a couple alternatives to all these softwares, and this is a quick note I should say. A lot of people ask me, what's the best software for X? What's the best software to do this? What's the best software for that? And I don't really believe that there's any clear winners, that it's just the best by far. I think there are a lot of competitors. Every little part of an Amazon business, there's 3, 4, 5 different options. And I think the more important thing is getting really good at the tool you're using, understanding all the settings, understanding all the capabilities of the software. There's no best software that's gonna give you this game-changing win in your business. It's more about knowledge of how these softwares work, and using what you have, whatever that may be, is better than constantly looking for some software that's going to give you a quick edge. That's just my opinion. Some of these softwares are kind of unique. I'd say Smart Scout is pretty unique. Restock Pro, there are a couple competitors. Inventory, there are many. Repricing, there are many. Shipping, there are a few, although I think 2D Workflow stands out as kind of the only one that is this intuitive. Restock Pro, I would recommend. You probably don't need it until you have, 15 or 20 SKUs. I think, with this software, I needed it when I was stocking out of products a lot and not keeping track of when I had to reorder and reordering at the right time. Usually earlier on in my business, I would stock out and then not even realize it, and then say, oh crap, I'm out of stock of this product. Then I go to order it again from my supplier, but by the time it comes to me and then I prep it and send it back to Amazon, I was out of stock for 2+ months. So you really have to reorder a lot sooner than you think you do. And Restock Pro helps with all that. So I think if you find yourself stocking out regularly and you have multiple accounts and 15, 20 plus SKUs across 3+ suppliers, it might be time for a restocking software. Smart Scout, I think you can get right in the beginning because that helps you find brands to contact. Inventory management, I'd say a lightweight solution is fine, like a seller board or an inventory lab. Some of the more robust ones, I think you don't need one for a while. Repricing, let's move on there. And I'll say first, who needs a repricer? I'd say if you have, again, around 15, 20 SKUs and you're seeing a lot of people undercut you and you have to log into Seller Central every day and manually adjust prices, I'd say it's time to get an automatic repricing software, which basically you set a minimum and a maximum, and it will automatically reprice your products for you within that band between your min and max. So it's really essential to automate that once you're up to a critical mass of SKUs. So here's Seller Snap, the repricer I use, and basically you set a minimum, a maximum, and it'll display what ROI there is based on that, and then whether there's a minimum advertised price you can't go below. It'll show your inventory age, how much quantity you have, and there are different types of rules that you can set as well. Very customizable. I think with repricing, this is kind of the premier repricer with the most functionality, possibly the best algorithm. I'm on the top tier, I pay $800 a month, but it does pay for itself because often when you win the buy box, it'll actually raise your price and test how far your price can go up and maintain in the buy box. So one example, I have a SKU that sells a couple thousand units a month, and when I'm in the buy box, it knows it can raise the price 50 cents and I'll stay in the buy box. So just on that one SKU, I'm probably making an extra $500 to $1,000 profit, and that kind of pays for itself. So that's the justification for a really high-end repricer. So the main rule is really profit maximization. There's another rule where you can set how much buy box percentage you want to win. So you can set it to win the buy box 100% of the time. It's going to be ultra aggressive, undercut people until you hit your minimum. So you can do different strategies. You can even do complex rules where if your inventory starts aging, and you're starting to incur longer storage fees and the storage fees get higher and higher, it will increasingly get more aggressive with the price. So very customizable, as I said. There's a lot of like if-then statements. If this condition is true, do this. If this other thing's true, do that. So you can really just tell it exactly what you want to do with it. I'll check it daily. And there's different things that'll alert you, like listings where you'll have to turn on your repricer. So here's one that says needs to reprice. So this is a new SKU I haven't set a repricing rule for. Here's one where the buy box is below my repricing min, so I can check if I need to lower prices. Here's one where I'm selling at my maximum. I might be able to raise my max price. Here's another one where inventory age is up there and it might be time to get more aggressive with the repricing. So it shows you the critical things you need to look at, and you could check it daily, weekly, a few times a week, whatever cadence you think is right for you. I would recommend a repricer for arbitrage and wholesale. Private label, you don't really need a repricer because you're the only seller. You just set the price and you don't do price changes so often that you need to automatically do anything. Although there are new pricers coming out just for private label that kind of try to maximize your profit based on different times of the day and week, but that's kind of a totally different deal here. So that's repricing. And then we're going to move on to shipping. So the send to Amazon workflow within Amazon is super cumbersome. Most people I know absolutely hate it. So 2D workflow is designed to prep and ship items way easier. So printing out item labels, looking at products and being able to label them, print labels way easier, box them way easier, and just it's kind of an overlay on Amazon that's just way more intuitive to see. So I have a few products here. It shows it's done. You can just hit the print label icon. It'll print out the label. It shows all the box contents. So this is a big time saver. I'd say for anyone tired of using Amazon Seller Central to do shipments, a 2D workflow would be a great option. Also pretty low cost. And I believe they're even implementing some shipping savings through like partnered carriers with the owner of the software. So this software may pay for itself and then some just with shipping savings. And there's also a placement fee optimizer. So I think it's releasing soon where it will split to less locations and still avoid placement fees, all within the terms of service of Amazon. So this is a favorite software of mine. I'd recommend this software to basically anyone who's spending a lot of time shipping, and then everyone should look and see if there's shipping savings as well when that feature rolls out. Moving on to analytics. So if you want to see how much your individual SKUs are making or filter by supplier, or your entire business is making Amazon gross profit, Sellerboard is great for that. So it'll import all of the different Amazon fees. So last month, for instance, sales a little above 2 million, units sold about 75,000, and then any promotional rebates, 26,000 spent on PPC advertising, 3,000 shipping, 55K of refunds, Amazon fees, and then the Amazon fees are further broken down very granular by the pick and pack fee, referral fee, and then all sorts of miscellaneous fees. And then it leaves you with your gross profit, and it shows your refund percentage, sellable returns, overall profit margin, et cetera, et cetera. So Seller Board is fantastic for analytics. They even have a QuickBooks integration as well. So I'd highly recommend Seller Board for analytics, and they have basic inventory management modules and repurchasing modules. So I think as a brand new seller, Seller Board could take care of 3 or 4 different things for you for a very low cost. So Seller Board is a great one. And last but not least, I have Helium 10 here. And Helium 10 I would not recommend to the beginner seller. It's really more of a private label focused seller than for arbitrage or wholesale. But some of the things that I do for brands, I will use Helium 10 for. So I will help brands improve their listings. Sometimes their titles are horrible, their bullet points are horrible, and they're not SEO optimized. So what this will do is help find how customers are discovering the product, through what search terms and keywords and stuff like that. And then basically you want to design your listing to have as many of those keywords in your title and bullet points as possible. This listing builder tool in Helium 10 really helps with that. And Helium 10 has plenty of other tools as well, designed more for private label, as I said. So I'd say if you're not a private label seller, you probably don't need this one right away. But as you get into deeper partnerships with brands and want to learn how to actually improve their listings, Helium 10 is good for that. So those are the main Amazon softwares that I use. And now I'm going to just jump into some other softwares that are related to Amazon and really useful for my day-to-day operations. And I'm not going to spend quite as much time on these, just kind of a quick 20 to 30 second run through of what it is and why you should look into it. And that'll conclude my entire software stack. So finance and accounting. So we already went over Seller Board, so that'll bring the analytics in there. But you really need a bookkeeping software to keep everything straight in your business. So QuickBooks is good for that. It'll not only track all your Amazon expenses, but it will also track your off Amazon expenses, like your warehouse expense or payroll or software or supplies like boxes and tape and labels and stuff like that. Your gross profit on Seller Board, that's just what you made before any of your other overhead or business expenses. So don't look at that and think you made, 20% margin and that's what you're taking home. Often after these other expenses like software and the other things I mentioned, the margin is lower. So to get a really accurate view of your business performance, you need a software like QuickBooks, or Xero is another one that's popular. And then Link My Books in the middle here. This is really just to get Amazon data into QuickBooks in an organized way. It'll break it out by month and put it into all the right buckets in QuickBooks, and it just facilitates the data transfer a lot easier. Moving on, these are just miscellaneous tools I use that I think everyone should really use something like this for every business. So Google Drive. So your business is going to need some sort of file storage, agreements you have with supplier, onboarding documents with your suppliers, map agreements, price lists, everything. You don't want to just have a huge jumble of files in your email or on your desktop and have no way to access those in an organized way. So I would start right when you start your business, start a Google Drive, have all your business formation documents, resale certificate, all that important stuff in a folder. You should have a supplier folder where it's broken down by supplier, all the important onboarding documents, price lists, etc. And it's just going to keep your life really simple. And then Google Drive is cloud-based, so all of your employees, once you have more employees, can access the same shared files really easily. So I think every business needs an organized file management system. So Google Drive. Every business needs to communicate. So if it's a very small team, you could use something like WhatsApp for free and just create a couple channels. That's what I used for several years, but now we have 7 or 8 different functions and departments of the business. So what we use is Slack, very popular business messaging app. You could also use something like Discord. It's very similar, different channels, different users, permission levels, stuff like that. So I live on Slack talking to my team, both within the US and offshore, all day long on Slack. Task and project management. So how do you track who does stuff, how they do it, when they do it, due dates, tasks that rely on other people before they can do the task. So when you have all these moving parts with a lot of different employees, a task management software is really important. So you have Asana, which is the one I use, but there's also others like ClickUp or Notion, Monday.com. They all do kind of the same thing. It's organizing all the work for a team, who does what, when, et cetera, et cetera. You can also put SOPs within that. So what I like to do, actually I should add another software. I'll create an SOP using Loom. So Loom is a video recording software where you can just record your screen, kind of like what I'm doing right now, and go through a step-by-step, like step 1, click here, step 2, click here, step 3, do this, and then it will transcribe the video and even like write it out for you. And then you can embed those within your task management software. So not only do people know what to do, they also know how to do it. So that keeps things really organized. Last two would be design. So designing marketing materials, improving a brand's content, better listing images, infographics. I use Canva, and that's actually the software I'm in right now. So Canva is also good for creating like flow charts and visual representations of things for your team to understand like workflows and stuff like that. So, and then you can also use Photoshop as well. But Canva is great for design. And then last little one is LastPass. As your team grows, there's going to be 100 plus logins. You may want some of your employees to be able to access your banks and credit card logins. Others, you may not want to access that. So basically it's a password database where you can give people different permission levels and just give people access to the logins they need, but nothing more necessarily. And that helps keep everything straight. So these last few tools, I just think are a good practice in literally any business in any industry. And then, the Amazon specific ones, we spent a little more time. So this is really all I use. My dream someday is that there's some all-in-one software that does all this stuff great, like inventory and forecasting and brand research and profitability and analytics and shipping and listing optimization, keyword stuff. But there's so many different flavors of Amazon businesses. The tools an arbitrage seller might need are different than what a wholesale seller needs, and that's different than what a private label seller needs. So I understand it's an enormous undertaking for one software provider to do all of this stuff and do it well. But I'm hoping someday my software stack no longer becomes a stack and just becomes one, all-in-one operating system. And believe me, I've searched and searched, and there's nothing amazing out there yet. But I am optimistic for the future because selling on Amazon and e-commerce is growing so rapidly. More and more dollars and investment is going behind these softwares. And a lot of these softwares, they're getting swallowed up by these big software aggregators that they're trying to do a whole software suite where all the apps talk to each other and stuff like that. So it's an evolving situation, but right now I think a lot of sellers need kind of a hodgepodge of tools. So that was a 30-minute video, and as you can see, we barely scratched the surface of these tools. There's really a lot more to go through, and there's a lot of different tools with different advantages and disadvantages. And this is something I go through in my wholesale group. We take deep dives into each and every software, pros and cons, software updates, new features. We stay on top of all that stuff. If you want to learn more about these softwares, really take a deep dive into this and other topics, then click the link below and talk to the team, and we'll see if we're a good fit to work with one another. I'll see you in the next video. Appreciate it.